is Betsy with Advisor Spotlight. I am so excited. Today we have Scott Simken here with us. Hey, Scott, how are you doing?
Hey, Betsy. Doing
Aw-
great.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Scott, we are excited to hear your story and we want to shine a spotlight on you and your work in the insurance industry. So, before we kick off about insurance, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you became an insurance agent?
Oh my goodness, we don't have enough time for that.
Okay.
Got about 45 years of work history.
Oh my.
So yeah, no, I was I started, in college, and then, needed to find a way to pay for college. Ended up in the Navy, and
Oh
was going
wow.
to go into medical school. And so I went into physical therapy to begin with, and one thing led to another. I never got to medical school, so I ended up spending about 20 years in the Navy in physical therapy and occupational therapy, and doing lots of things with Marines and SEALs and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then I got out, and I was not healthy. That's one of the reasons they said, "See ya."
Oh
This is
no.
after the first Gulf War. And so I did a whole bunch of things. I bought private mortgages. I trained to do that. I helped a friend with a startup business in electrical engineering industry,
Wow.
and start that whole business. And we grew that to several $1 million. And then that got sold off. And then I started my own business in the same industry, and selling that kind of equipment and stuff like that. And I ended up I stopped doing that because of everything that happened. Well, 9/11 happened, and that's what
Yeah.
brought a lot of it to a close. And then I got back into medicine, and was selling spinal instrumentation
Wow.
products, sold physical therapy, occupational therapy equipment, and outfitted entire clinics and stuff like that. Um, and then I couldn't do it any longer. I was in too much pain. I have back and neck issues
Oh
and
no.
all kinds of stuff, and I'd already had three surgeries at that point.
My goodness.
So yeah, so I was like, okay, so I kind of took a sabbatical. When a neurosurgeon, when you're in the OR and he looks at your MRIs and they're worse than the 80-year-old guy that's on the table, and he says, "Hey, how about we wake him up and we do a fusion on you?" And yeah, it's time. So anyway, but so I did that, and I did that for a while, as long as I could. And then I actually got into the insurance business about a year or two later. A friend of mine says, "Hey, Scott, I know you're looking. Why don't you come with me and look at this and
Okay.
opportunity?" And it was not good. Let's just say it was a terrible cattle call kind of office. It was terrible. It was all cold calling. It was, and you were splitting everything with senior people
Oh
who
my.
really weren't interested in you becoming independent. They just,
Hmm.
they wanted to do the splits because they knew you were going to hang around. And so after I did that for a while, I said, "All right, that's enough of that." Um, and so I traded options for a while, and was doing that when another friend of mine that I met in the previous electrical engineering realm got with me, and it was another startup. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, sitting at my desk trading options." He goes, "Oh, you need to work with me." So I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and of course
Okay.
I could do that any place. I was a national sales manager for that. And then we parted ways, and my wife and I moved out here to Arizona. And um, one of the people that I was working with there to become a distributor, we
Okay.
became really good friends. And so he's like, "Hey, you need to look at, this company, Symmetry Financial Group, and you
Okay.
really need to look at these guys, these twins, these twin brothers that are their group. I
Sure.
want your opinion of it." So it was his slick way of getting me to give him his opinion. So we laugh about it now, but and I'm like, wow, that I mean, an insurance company with ethics. How bizarre. You
Crazy.
know, not my experience. And these two brothers that were just angelic, you
Oh,
know, kind of people. And I'm just like, wow, that's really amazing. And he goes, well, what you want to get started with me, we'll do it together. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I just insurance, and I just know I that so bad a taste in my mouth. And so one thing led to another, and a couple of months later, he's like, "Hey, you really need to look at what they're doing now. They have this thing called debt-free life, and
mm,
it's helping people, and it's what you do." And so I looked at it. One thing led to another. I flew across the country and went through the training before I even signed up with Cemetery.
oh wow.
And
Wow.
so here I am. You
That
know,
that
it
is
was
phenomenal.
it was quite a trip. We ups and downs, let me tell you, holy mackerel. There were times in our lives where we didn't know when the next paycheck was coming because I mean, I've had people,
Wow.
I mean, I just glossed over the things. There's stories that, you know,
Oh my goodness.
being left in the lurch completely, people closing businesses and not telling me,
Oh
uh,
God.
stuff like that, that just was horrible. So yeah, this has been a pretty good experience. I mean, it's certainly not easy. It's simple, but it's certainly not
Yeah.
easy.
That's a great way to put it. I love that. Well, man, thank you so much for sharing. I love hearing that. Just it's so what a broad and varied background. And thank you, I must say, for your service in the Navy. I know that and then kind of everything that came after that, your difficulties and health wise, I'm sure that's something you still deal with. But I love that that's something the insurance is something that we can offer, to veterans as a way to provide for their families and still protect families even after their time of active military service is done. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
um, but wow, so you've had a roundabout journey in getting here. But so I would love to hear, Scott, tell me about either maybe your first death claim or what is like your most significant moment as an agent.
Ooh, most significant moment. Well, right now I haven't had any death claims yet, which
Okay.
is pretty, count my blessings there.
Hmm.
I know it's coming, but
Sure. Yeah.
you never know. I have had clients pass away before I could help them, before they made a decision. Um, One kid, 24 years old, a med tech, beginning of COVID.
Oh.
He's like, well, I really want to think about this. And so I kept, I was new and I didn't know what I was doing much. And so I didn't know how to get over those objections at that point. And a couple of weeks later, I'm calling and I got a hold of his fiance, who they
Yeah.
had just bought a house together, which is why I was talking to them.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what's going on with you guys? What's Andy been up to? And he goes, she says he got COVID and he passed away.
Oh no.
24-year-old out there going all over Arizona, northern Arizona, trying to help clinics,
Oh my goodness.
that didn't have people to help them anymore. And
Oh.
he passed away. I mean, that was one. I had another one that he had some physical and mental handicaps, but he was still capable of taking care of himself. But his, again, a fiance was kind of there to help him and support him. And they kept kind of putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And again, a couple of weeks, and I called and I'm like, you know, are you guys ready to move forward? And she goes, he passed away last night.
Oh. Oh. My
You
heart
know
just
what?
dropped. Are you
Yeah,
serious? Oh my word.
what I and I'm just I'm stunned.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God, what? I'm so sorry. And she goes, not as sorry as I am that we didn't get this put in place
oh wow.
because now. I have nothing. I can't even afford to bury him.
Oh, Scott.
So, unfortunately, I've had those situations, but
Wow.
it's yeah, those are probably the two toughest ones I've had so far. But
That's heartbreaking. You know, and that those are the moments that we dread, right? Like I actually remember when I was first an agent and I was going around, I was like door knocking. I had my leads, but if someone didn't show up, I'd go and I'd door knock. And I had one lead, so I went up to their house and same situation. She said, I remember filling this out, but we never did it. And now my husband passed away 2 months ago, and their house is being foreclosed on.
yep.
And I was like, huh. It just gave me so much more of like a realization of how important what we do is. Like it's not just, oh, hey, we got a little something. Hopefully we can no, like we literally are there for people in their most difficult moment. And oh
Right. We are not peddlers.
no, oh no.
We're not peddling a product,
Hmm.
you know, and it's a real service that people really need,
Hmm.
and sometimes they just don't know how important it is in their lives
Yeah.
until it's too late. Uh,
Well,
so
man, that's heavy. That's heavy, but that's part of the reality of what we do. So thank you for sharing that and being honest and about it. I mean, that's so helpful, I think, for other people to hear that we all go through those times and there's a reason that we're out there contacting people who've asked for help because we know that we've got a solution to a need that they have. Um, well, tell me, Scott, so we've talked about some challenges, maybe in getting to the insurance industry and then some of your most more difficult moments as an agent. Tell me about some victories that you've experienced, some things that have made you be like, wow, this is why I love being an agent.
well, it's funny you should mention that. I write a lot of advanced market stuff, so IULs and
Okay.
DFLs, annuities, that sort of thing. And I love writing the DFLs. Obviously, it was what I got into the business in the first place for.
Right.
So really enjoy giving people these tools to help themselves get out of debt.
Okay.
So I could go on for days for those kind of scenarios where I've
Right.
helped different. I mean, lots and lots and lots of people do that. But just recently, just last Monday,
Mm-hmm.
I got a referral, or it was the week before, I got a referral from a client of mine who is a very good client. Okay, I've written four policies for him and his family.
Okay.
Okay, he's a football coach. He's a like a the younger kid football coach.
Okay.
His other coach, he referred his other coach to me.
Oh, nice.
So, long story short, he's a business owner. He owns a couple of different businesses, plus he's a coach, super unbelievably financially astute young man
Right.
at 35 years old. Okay. So he came to me and he's like, there's a better way for me to save money for retirement and create wealth for my family than what I'm doing. What are they?
Oh man,
He's,
that's
I
like,
Yeah, really. It's like,
yes.
manna from heaven. I mean, it was just,
Right.
I'm like,
Oh,
well, funny you should mention that.
oh, that's
I do.
awesome. That's
And
awesome.
so I wrote four IULs just last Monday and
Wow.
got all approved last week, which is
What? That's unheard of.
heavenly. I mean, that never happens. So all four approved in 1 week when I wrote them on Monday, and I mean, and he was so appreciative. His whole family, him and his wife, they're so appreciative. They're like, we have some foundation now. I mean,
Right.
they have no debt but a little itty bitty mortgage,
Oh my
no
goodness.
other debt, and they own a trucking company with 7 trucks,
Oh,
semis. We're not talking little trucks, semis, no
wow.
debt. But now they're looking to, now that they have that squared away, Now they're looking to use IBC, infinite banking, to create the bank so that they can create more wealth and use that to pay for the rentals, the mortgage, the taxes and insurance on the 8 rentals that they own, to
Oh my
pay for
goodness.
the taxes and tags and everything else they have to pay every year on the 7 trucks that they own.
Smart.
So they can create 2 more of those just within their business, let alone personally.
Oh my.
So it's that was huge. I mean, to have 4 of them written and approved in one week, and I've had little kids that it took months to get approved for some reason.
I'm in the middle of one that's taking forever and it's a child. I'm like,
My own grandkids.
right. Oh gosh. Well,
Like,
now and so for anyone that's listening, maybe it doesn't know what an IUL does. Tell them like kind of overall what's the purpose, why would we write someone and why do we
okay,
get so excited about IULs?
right. An Index Universal Life, IUL, is a product that can create, its strong suit is that it creates long-term growth and creates tax-free retirement for anyone.
Yep.
And it's kind of a sliding scale. It's one of those things, if you have a lot of time, you don't need a lot of money
Mm,
to put into it to create a lot of retirement in the future. But if you don't have a lot of time, then you have to use a little bit more money.
right.
So if you
Makes sense.
keep that in mind, their little boys,
Oh,
$50 a month creates more wealth than what mom and dad are going to do at 250 and 150 apiece. And
wow.
they're both 35 years old.
Hmm.
So, it just time and money. And so they are just absolutely thrilled that that's what it can do to create that kind of wealth. And I said, and that's just one stream. We've created 2, one for each of you. And
Nice.
that's just 2. You can create as many of these as you want. So as you grow your business, you can create more of these.
That
And
is,
so they were just out of this world excited that they finally figured out there's a better way. They
uh,
knew it wasn't 401ks or SEPs or,
mm,
457s or anything else that they could possibly do as business owners. They knew it wasn't that. They knew there had to be a better way. And they'd heard bits and pieces of infinite banking and index universal life, but they didn't know anything really. And they didn't trust anything they read on the internet. Stunningly smart. Uh,
it's good to talk to someone that is aware and knows exactly about it. Well, awesome,
right.
Scott. I love that you were able to help that. And I mean, just that explanation, that's such a nice, clear explanation there. All right, well, let's kind of wrap it up here, Scott. What is your, like, so now you're here, you're helping families, what is your vision for your future in insurance? Like, what do you get excited about for the future? And, why are you excited to be a life insurance agent?
Well, two two different things. One, personally,
Mhm.
it helps me create a legacy for my family.
Right.
And so, we're creating the Simken family legacy
Mm,
and trust. And so creating a business that I can will to my kids and
mm,
grandkids will give them, they'll never have to go through what we did when we were kids and when my parents had to go through and stuff like that. And so that's my goal, and their kids and grandkids and so on and so forth. And number 2 is being able to help and touch so many more people to do the same thing for themselves,
mm,
both either helping them by recruiting them or helping them as clients
right.
to create the kind of stability and wealth for their families' futures through generations, not just one, but multiple generations.
Yeah.
And so that really, I mean, that touches me to be able to do something like that for them, and help them. And I tell them, I said, listen, when I write a policy with somebody, I said, you're part of the family now. Here's my personal phone number,
I love
and you need something, you call me.
it. Mm,
We're family. and they do.
Hey, that's good though.
They do, and they're like this other one that did last week. He says, "Hey, you need to talk to D here. He's really interested." And I'm like, "Thank you.
Let's
It's
go.
the
Let's do
highest
it.
compliment I can get."
That for sure. For sure. Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. I love hearing that. I feel like I know you so much better and I'm excited for you and all the people that you're going to help. And so yeah, I just appreciate you being on. And that's what the advisor spotlight is all about. We just want to shine spotlight on agents that are making a difference. And we just appreciate all that and can't wait for you to go out and make a difference in so many more families' lives.
No, thank you, Betsy. I appreciate you too.
Hey there, thanks so much for watching this episode of Advisor Spotlight. Here at Advisor Verified, we love spotlighting agents all across America as they share their passion for why they love doing what they get to do, protecting you and your family. So be sure to go to advisorverified.com and search for an advisor in your state that you connect with and that you know is licensed, insured, verified.